We can talk about the defense. We can talk about the goaltending. We can talk about the keeping. But end of story. You cannot win against the Oilers if you do not score at least 5 goals right now.
And would it be a huge deal if this wasn't 4 straight?
No.
It wouldn't be a huge deal if it wasn't 4 straight. But they've blown a lead again for the 4th straight game.
Mm-hmm.
A multi-goal lead for the 3rd time in 4 games. And it would be a 3rd period lead in 4 straight games had they not simply blown a 2-goal lead to the Islanders in the 2nd period instead of the 3rd.
So this breakdown, gentlemen, will not be about necessarily the game itself. It will be about the trend.
It's a bad trend.
It's a bad trend.
And it's weird that there's any pushback against that.
I don't think there is.
Oh, yeah? Want to bet?
The goal scoring thing, I think, is a really important point because a lot of people are ranking on the defense and they're saying, everybody's out of position, that sort of stuff, and the defense isn't good enough. Go get Zadorov. But Sheldon Keefe focused on the offense in his postgame. And I feel like if there's just a little bit more offense, they can cover up a lot of these defensive problems. And he pointed to Nylander hitting a crossbar, Bertuzzi having a puck that's over on a wide open net and it just hits the post and doesn't go in. And if they're able to just finish better, these problems, you probably don't lose 4 games in a row. But I don't know where their finishing ability went. Like Nylander, who spent the entire first part of the season being an unbelievable finisher and scoring the most amount of points he's ever scored, can't do it anymore.
Signed a deal.
Yeah. Well, no, stop it.
You signed a deal. No. Why should I stop it? You wanted the money. This is what comes with the money.
But the money is not. No.
Score.
No, the money doesn't start until next year. Money doesn't start till next year, Steve.
Oh, well then fucking
sorry, he's still making $6.9 million. 69. Nice.
Well then,
what a blaze it.
What a little teacher's pet overachiever he's been then.
Yeah, he's been great.
Oh, great.
I think he's one of the best.
Can't wait for next year when he just tears shit up.
Not next year, though,
if this is how he performs at his less than $7 million rate, how's he going to be at 11.5? I bet he's going to get 153 points.
What date is it today?
Today is January 17th, 2024.
And in 2024, like what hockey season are we in? It's a year split.
It's the 105th season.
No,
of the NHL.
It's the 23-24 season. So has William Nylander's money kicked in yet?
No.
Yes. So I will not hear it. I will not hear it.
8 years.
I will not hear it. I'm happy for Willie for 8 years. I'm concerned about some other things. Like he made some good moves. I thought his little move where he spun around and almost put it top shelf and it went off the goalie's head. Like Stuart Skinner got his ear in it. Could have been a goal. It was great.
Superstar.
Not worried about the money. Not worried about that money.
You ought to be.
I think
it's why the team's.
It's actually the 106th season of play of the NHL.
Is it?
That was a year off. I'm sorry.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
So this is about the trend. The trend is giving up leads. The trend is the team's bad defensively. Now, we have had, for the last 2-3 years, if I'm not mistaken, coming into this year, the defensive metrics for the Leafs drastically improved. They're really, really good. And let's be honest, the signings this summer on the defensive end of the puck were mixed.
Every signing was mixed.
John Klingberg was never going to give you great defensive minutes. So if you were expecting that, no. I hope that's not what Treliving was expecting. Simon Benoit has been better than we expected, but he shouldn't be playing with Morgan Riley near the end of the game.
Right.
Bridge too far.
Can I stop on Klingberg for a sec?
Of course.
Because, okay, we have this conversation when a team is going after a player, the trade deadline, free agency, whatever, and then they miss out on them. Well, then you can't just, or very often they don't just go, well, then we'll get no one. They go out and they get that person light. They go out and they get their silver medal.
They go get Tim Connolly.
Yeah. Well,
you remember Brad Richards and Tim Connolly?
It's a very notorious one, but yeah.
And Tim was not great.
No, he was not. No, he was not. But you go out there and you get John Klingberg because you're like, this is what we need. We have these killers up front, and we need someone to get them the puck. They got to get them the puck. And then Klingberg, his pelvis explodes.
Yeah.
And that happens in sports. It is what it is.
Yeah.
It's a shame.
He wrecked that pelv?
Yeah. He wrecked that pelv.
Yeah. Did you just get out there and crush pelves?
You just crush pelv.
Uh-huh.
So uncomfortable.
Uh-huh.
But You go out there and who's he been replaced with?
Well, that's the thing.
No, I have an answer.
Who is it?
It's Simone Benoit. That's who's like there is a roster spot now because that player is hurt.
Yeah.
And he was replaced with Simone Benoit. Now, Benoit has been pretty good. Didn't look great on the game-winning goal last night, but he's been fine. That doesn't fit the vision they had for this team in the summer at all.
No, it doesn't.
At all. So what's going on there, Brad? What's going on there, Shanny? On account of, I'm going to remind everyone, Shanny, up at the top for over a decade now, Shanny.
Makes the calls.
Makes the calls, Shanny. This team, like Sheldon Keefe, very obviously cannot fucking stand the team that he has to coach every night. It's pretty obvious. He put the team's 13th forward from last week on the top line.
And he's actually looked okay.
And he's looked fine.
Yeah.
Except for on the game-winning goal.
New Hyman. That's Pontus Holmberg.
Oh, for fuck.
Yeah, I thought-
Can't wait till he goes to Edmonton then.
I thought Holmberg was like holding his own.
Yeah,
like,
I
in
think
that
he's doing-
position. He's been good.
Yeah, he's been fine. No, but
been fine.
what I'm saying, though, is like before the preseason, I had no idea this player even played wing. Like, he's supposed to be center, and I guess it's easy to go from center to wing. I don't want to get caught up on Pontus Holmberg. He really does not like this team. You commit to David Kampf for 4 years. Why do you have David Kampf?
You have David Kampf to center your fourth line?
Well, no, you have
Shut
David
down
Kampf.
center. is
David
the idea.
Kampf, who by
down
the way,
center.
walked Darnell Nurse last night, which
Oh,
was
right.
which was a good
Darnell Nurse can't pivot.
Yeah,
So-
la-
and it was fun to see David Kampf coming up the boards and just go right around him.
Yeah.
It was nice.
Yeah,
Listen.
good for him. Whatever. Like you're
Wow,
putting him.
two bad contracts going head to head.
Yeah.
Win.
Oh my God, Nurse has to thank his lucky stars he's on the Oilers.
Oh,
That's
maybe.
the worst contract in the NHL.
Yeah, it's bad.
Him and Cale Makar just like neck and neck in contract value.
know.
Doesn't he
That's
make
wild.
more? I think he makes more.
Is it more?
It's 8.25, isn't it?
He's 9.25 or 9.25, and Makar is 9 flat.
I thought.
Okay,
Darnell
let's
was an
triple
8.
check this. Where is Edmonton and Colorado? Let's bring up Colorado.
I'm
That's
almost
fun.
positive. Anyway,
If he's not in the, if he's in the nines, it's worse than I ever thought.
Yeah,
He's in the
Makar
nine- oh,
is
yeah.
9.
Okay.
And Nurse is Darnell Nurse 9.25.
bar none. Bar none, the
he's-
worst contract.
250 grand ahead of
Easily.
Cale Makar.
Handily the worst contract in the NHL.
Oh,
Who's
boy.
worse?
You're right.
Who's worse?
I can't.
Who's worse?
I
He
can't
puts up
even give you-
points on the Oilers.
Mhm.
Okay, like call up any AHL defenseman and put him in the same position as Nurse.
Yep.
They'll do fine.
Yep.
Till 2030.
It's a fucking nightmare. It's good Lord, looking at that gives me heart palpitations.
All right.
And he might win the Stanley Cup.
Who would you rather have?
What?
Nurse at 9.25 or Makar at 9?
You know what?
Nurse, he's
because I like
taller.
a challenge. Sometimes you have to create adversity to get to your goals. You know, this is turning into a LinkedIn post. Sometimes you just have to pee your own pants in public. Like
Here. Going back to David Kampf.
Sheldon Keefe hates this lineup. Is
Yes,
the point
he
you're
does,
trying
he
to
does.
make?
Yes,
Sorry,
but
Steve.
he's right too, because Treliving goes, we're gonna get John Klingberg to do John Klingberg things, and he's for all his warts, he's gonna put up 50, 60 points. Oh, he's hurt? Okay, replace him with a guy who has 1.
Now, is it fair
What-
to say that because they just moved people up the lineup?
Yeah.
Oh, wait.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry.
Okay, we're gonna sign David Kampf. $10 million. The new Matt Martin. 2.5 times 4 equals 10. All right, which means we're gonna trade him for a no-name goalie, and then he's gonna play fine. But you signed shutdown center David Kampf to play him with who? 2 random men. I love Bobby McMahon. It's not a shutdown line player. I think he's fine. I like him on this team. It's not a shutdown line player. And for God's sake, we've seen enough of Noah Gregor that he's not that player either. So you're playing your shutdown center with 2 random men. Okay, well,
And we're wondering why he's having. Everybody's focusing on Kampf. Like, why is he having an off year?
Yeah.
Wow.
well,
Yeah,
okay,
okay.
so then ice your third line. Oh, well, you don't trust them. So ice your second line. Oh, well, you don't trust them. So ice your first line. Oh, well, you're trying to trust them last night, and they cost you the game. Like, do you see what I'm
Oh,
saying?
yeah, I get you.
This Frankenstein friggin' design of the team.
Mm-hmm.
Like, they had a vision for it. The vision was immediately bad. And they're plugging all these gaps that don't make sense. And who got moved up in the lineup for Klingberg?
Well, it's like Giordano, or if you, depending upon how you look at it, Liljegren.
No,
or
they're
McCabe.
on the third pair. It's Benoit.
Oh, Benoit.
Oh, you mean, yeah.
Klingberg was with McCabe.
I don't think
It's Benoit.
I don't think it's like a direct replacement for Klingberg. Is the point that Adam was trying to make. I think it's been a mishmash of Lagesson and McCabe and Benoit.
Who?
Everybody's kind of been
It'd be nice
over the
Lagesson.
over the course of the months that Klingberg has been out. They've been using all of these different fronts because Gio's been out for a while now, and then now he's been back for a few weeks. So it's been a committee of defensemen that they've just been trying to trot out there.
Yeah,
Lagesson's on milk cartons right now. I have no idea where that guy is. They won't use him. And
yeah, his last game was December 27th.
They'll use Timmins, who
is objectively terrible. You can't use him. You can't use him.
Well, if
you can't use him in that role.
Like, if you want a Klingberg type player, you could go with that fella. But you don't want that thing that you want. What are you doing? What are you doing?
I wonder if they're just choosing Timmins over Lagesson because he shoots right.
Oh, well, man, it could come down to that.
It could.
You might be right.
Neither
Timmins
of those
is a right
players were in
shot.
the lineup last night, so I'm getting caught up here.
Yeah, Timmins is a right shot. Lagesson's a left shot.
Like several, like Max Domi. Okay, he's brought some intensity to the lineup. Keefe has trusted him a little bit more recently, but look at his ice time. He doesn't trust this player.
Mm-hmm.
Like all these conversations that we heard this summer, Brad Treliving had hours and hours of it's like him and Keefe were the Joker and Batman with a bunch of pizzas in an interrogation room talking this thing over. They don't seem to be on the same page at all, in the slightest.
The reference was 17-hour meeting that they had over the course of
17 hours.
Yeah.
And like,
hours.
I don't like the job Keefe.
I don't even
done.
think anybody can stay awake that long.
No, first of all, I don't believe
What over the course of a couple days.
that's not a 17-hour meeting.
Yeah.
So
unless it started at 6 and then went to 6 a.m. or whatever.
That's 2 8-hour meetings, or an 8-hour meeting and a 9-hour meeting. That's not a 17-hour.
Hey, that's how it was phrased.
That's like it's
What are
like
they- what are they
working
trying
all
to
week
Andrew
and
Tate
saying
us
you had a
here?
40-hour shift.
David, they're just trying to David Goggins. If you don't meet super hard,
Yeah.
then I don't even know. Fuck
Anyway,
Yeah, I don't know where
I'm
you're
not
going
even
with
fucking
that.
going there. What I'm trying to say is that it's like, so you met, let's say they met for 17 hours and that's true and I don't believe it. If they did, what did you do?
They don't seem to be on the same page at all. I don't like the job Keefe has done recently, but I feel like firing him right now, which a lot of people want, only exacerbates the problem.
Just so people don't think I make this shit up. And as the days ticked by while the GM spoke to the Leafs players and staff members about Keefe and exhaustedly grinded through 17 hours worth of meetings with Keefe himself, all the vacant head coaching jobs in the league gradually got gobbled up. That was from Luke Fox on June 29th. June 29th, 2023. So there you go.
I don't think that. Here's the thing. I did read a tweet last night, and I think it was from Alex Hobbs, and he's like, "Listen, in no other sport, doesn't matter how good the coach was. In no other sport would a coach with successive first round and out, although he didn't have successive first round out because he did have a second round and out in there. No coach would have survived that.
Yeah.
But again, he didn't have this past spring. He didn't have a first round and out. They did get to the second round. So
no, if this is any real franchise, the head coach lost his job by now.
Yeah. And I don't even think I'm of the opinion that I don't really think he's the problem. I think that they have a Franken team, and I agree with you, Steve. I think here's what I'm seeing. I'm seeing an unexpected regression in TJ Brody. And I know he wasn't great in the playoffs last year, but he was steady for 3 seasons heading into last year's playoffs.
Oh yeah,
he is drowning. He is drowning out there.
Yeah.
Mark Giordano, we saw what happened to him in the playoffs last year too, because he was exhausted. I don't think the plan for him was to be in the top 4 or play this many penalty kill minutes. Like, I'm looking at Will Lagesson's ice time, and it's like 15 minutes, 12 minutes, 11 minutes when he plays for the Leafs, right?
fine. That's a third pair defense.
That's what Giordano should be.
Yeah.
That's what he needs to stay as. And then you've got Simo Benoit, who is a big body, who does big body guy stuff.
Don't mind him.
I actually have always liked Jake McCabe. I think there are warts to his game, but you're paying him $2 million. I don't really think there's a problem.
Big hit.
Morgan Riley's an absolute beast. Liljegren's looked good since coming back, but you don't have the depth on this defense, and they are certainly not capable of playing whatever system the Leafs are trying to force them to play. That is also, I think, an important point.
Like, a lot of people are talking about like Nick Robertson being in, as Jeff Merrick likes to put it, Lachey Bow Wow, in the doghouse there with Sheldon Keefe. What's Liljegren got to do to get off that third pair?
I don't know. I thought he's looked good, man.
Dude, you can't look at this lineup and tell me he deserves that. Like, I'm not saying healthy scratch, Brody. I don't think things are maybe that extreme. It's time to take away some responsibilities, for God's sake. Like, put him on the third pair. See how Liljegren does at very least.
It's like how we talked last episode. The true coaches set you up for success.
Yeah.
Okay. I know what this player used to be, and here's where NHL coaches get blinded, and I don't blame them. Is players' skills do diminish, and sometimes they come back, but sometimes they diminish. And this player is not capable of playing the same role as last year. You have to recognize that. So you must find somebody else.
Not right now. Like, maybe it comes back. I don't know.
And then, so the question is, well, then who steps in and plays TJ Brody's role? And that is a true living Shanahan question. Because there is nothing internally that is going to substitute for that.
Yeah, well, it's a question that we have an answer to. We don't want to give up on the prospects we have or the picks that we have, and we don't have any cap space, so we're just going to sit here.
And whose fault is that?
Brendan Shanahan.
I think
you gotta have both of them.
At the end of the day, like at some point, we need to start blaming the actual people who put together this roster and decided to keep doubling down on the thing you hate most, is giving these core four the money, and they've done this for 8 years now.
Well, like we make fun of Dubas for loving his guys, and he does. He loves his guys, and he had a type, and so here's what you have, right? You have your core four, Morgan Riley, core five, whatever.
Core five.
Fine. What is your job every year? You got to find some goaltending, some adequate goaltending.
Yep.
He was literally hit and miss. I'm great at finding a starter. I am bottom 5 in the league at finding a backup.
And we're finding a starter who's like peaks for a season, and then you got to get rid of him.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah. And like, making a mistake with Mrazek, and then we fall over ourselves to praise him for getting out of his own mistake.
Finding Jack Campbell in a deal where Jack Campbell was the throw-in with Muzzin.
Yes, but also...
Yeah, what if Jack Campbell had just not been included in that deal? What would they have done?
He wasn't...
Rough.
No. Sorry, you're getting confused. Muzzin was a separate trade, and then I think it was a year later, they made a trade with the Kings. It was Campbell and Clifford for... picks and Trevor Moore.
Right.
Oh.
Right.
So Trevor Moore was looking
there
great.
were 2 separate deals with the Kings.
But
Yes, you're right.
He had a type, and it was okay. You got to fill your team. You try to get your goalies, and then his type was undersized guys with good underlying numbers who couldn't hit the broadside of a barn. Like every game, you're like, but the deserve to win. They can't shoot. They cannot shoot or pass the puck.
Yeah, Patan, Malgin. Who else you want to include?
Just cardio merchants. Like just getting out there and hopping on the Peloton. And I'm in the Scottish Highlands today. And maybe tomorrow I'll visit Morocco. Like just,
I like the Austria ride. The Austria ride.
Yeah, all right, everyone. Give me a little push. Lift your little weights that you also get at the side. Like,
and then you got to add in always finding a guy who plays perfectly with Matthews and Marner and then not being able to keep him.
Well, and then he would hit. Like, I'm making it sound like he never hit.
He'd hit, and then he can't keep him.
Gone.
Yeah.
Gone. Dude,
The only reason they were able to keep Bunting is because he had a 2-year deal.
Yes.
2-year deal and like turn down money to come to Toronto because he's not stupid. He got great advice from whoever was giving him advice. Go to Toronto. They'll use you because you're cheap. you'll put up a 40 billion points and provide something on that team that no one else on that roster, no one is willing to provide, and then cash out.
That's why
And
Bertuzzi and Domi are here right now.
Yes.
Or the Bunting route of this.
And they have 10 goals combined.
Well, Michael's got 9.
Oh, lovely. Oh, well then great.
Yes. And so your point is about the Dubas roster.
So Dubas had his faults, but that was how he tried to fill out the rest of the roster. Brad Treliving has filled out the rest of this roster like a kid paying for candy and coins. What can I get for and this one is this 25? It's a nickel. It's okay, 5. And then pennies. I don't even know where I got this. They stopped making them. And what it's random men. The roster's full of random men. There's no rhyme or reason or theme or identity to this team. We want snot. Okay, man. Like they do play with more snot.
Yeah. But I think what that comes down to of Brad Treliving walking into the Circle K and being like, hey, what can I get for all of these dimes and quarters that were in my pocket?
Yes.
Comes down to Brendan Shanahan on his way down to the Gardner deciding, hey, I didn't like Kyle Dubas' press conference. I'm going to can my GM as we're in this turning moment in our franchise.
5 weeks before the draft.
Where I can move some of these pieces because Willie's contract is coming up. Mitch Marner's no trade clause kicks in on July 1st, and we need a roster overhaul because we just got whooped by Florida, and all of a sudden getting rid of the guy who knew the roster the best and was probably willing to make some moves because he knew that his job is on the line if this thing keeps going the way it is. But no, Brendan decided to get rid of that guy and bring in a guy a couple weeks out of free agency who didn't know the roster completely and just has to go get a bunch of guys.
Yeah, and we're going to sit on our prospects and we're going to sit on our No! The core you're spending $1 billion on is in their prime now! Now! What are you doing, you madman? So you're telling me you're going to hold on to all this shit and develop these guys until they're too old to compete anymore?
Well, no.
What did you talk about in those 17 hours?
I was thinking about this. And I think that if you are the Leafs right now and you say you're open for business, what's Frege always say? They're going to throw you an anchor, not a lifeline.
Yeah.
So you're saying, I won't do it. They'll do it. Because the logic that you so eloquently put out there is true. You have to win now. This is the time to win. And so you got your first round pick next year. You don't have one this year. You've got what you've got in terms of your prospects. You're probably the Leafs are going to have to trade off the roster here. It is going to happen.
Yeah, like Sam Lafferty.
Well, listen, I agreed, and that was a really bad move, and it just goes to show how quickly this stuff can fall apart.